loves, welcome back to our channel. Thank you for joining us again. We are back with another one. So we first want to thank you guys for coming through and joining Joe and I, right?
Yeah.
To talk about Married at First Sight, because they wasn't giving a goddamn thing, so we're going to try to squeeze blood from eternity.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Married at First Sight Decision Day, okay? If you have not already, bust down, subscribe to this channel. It doesn't cost you anything, we promise, okay? Except for you get to, know when we're putting out brand new content. So, I'm saying all that to say, I'm sorry, y'all, I just had a real good bag of chips. You ever have a good bag of chips and it getting you all up in here? Mouth all wet?
No.
No? You don't like my mouth wet?
I don't like chips.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true. You like, nah. Okay, so let's jump on into Decision Day. They do a cute little montage. Just basically, I guess, like, of all the couples, what they've gone throughout the season, which was like, did y'all feel, what? I don't want to do an overview of the season because we're going to do that next week. Mm-hmm. But I just felt like this episode gave nothing.
Yeah, it was kind of bland. Nothing really happened.
Nothing happened, but we still want to talk about it. So they start off Decision Day with Clara and Ryan. So one of the things, I like to talk logistics too, right? Yeah. So one of the things I didn't like logistically was that they were reading. I mean, I thought it was cool, weird. But I didn't.
I didn't think it was cool at all. And Vinny sounded like he was hooked on phonics.
But Vinny sounded that way because English is his second language. If he would have wrote that shit in Spanish, he'd have been like,
yeah, but he speaks the English. He speaks English fine.
But sometimes reading
and
English.
And then he was reading it and he was sounding like, I think Brianna is a good person. It was fantastic. It was very hard to get through.
It was very hard to get through, but Clara and Ryan, Ryan like to use all the words, chap.
Yeah.
Sit down and talk. And I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm so excited. I'm excited, more excited for the, I guess like the reunion. Yeah. Because I need to know how these people pan out after they tell all these lies. And do all these
because
things.
I think it was a lot of this season, like I guess the Decision Day wasn't really much of a payoff. Yeah. In relation to seasons past because of like all of the like bullshit in that this cast did. You know what I mean? Where you have Virginia and Eric, stay together, which was like, they've been kind of Eric been pleading for her to not to leave on Decision Day. She just kind of he put it on strong. She kind of just followed whatever. And then you had Ryan and Clara talk about 10 out of 10 perfect, So
But even for her to say like, she was like, well, we haven't had sex yet, but what's a couple months? What's a couple months when we have our entire lives? And I'm like, bitch, you was the one out there complaining about it.
You was hot in the pants and in the head about it.
He ain't telling you he love you. He ain't sleeping with you. You was the one mad about that.
You
and
was
I'm not
really
saying
hot
that,
about that.
Like, let's be clear. I don't think that would have been a reason for her to say no on Decision Day. Like, I don't think that. I think she would have been crazy to do that. But I do think that, like,
I mean, the way she was hot about it sounded like she wanted to say no. The way it bothered her.
She wasn't going to say no.
Yeah, like the way that it bothered her, you know what I'm saying, throughout the whole season, it sounded like she wanted to say no.
Like, she would have said no if that. I think that she was always going to say yes at Decision Day. I think that she's more a person of optics than she or anybody else lets on. Even though I think that Clara has these moments of clarity where she say things that I'm like, I absolutely agree with you on that. But I just think it's something about her that is very disingenuous. That's the word I want, right? Like, I think she's fake, and I think he fake, and I think that's why they said yes on Decision Day.
I actually don't think that he's fake or she's fake. I think that they very similar to Virginia and Eric, like, love to put on this persona that their relationship is perfect. Love to like do this whole thing. I think them as people, I don't think they're fake as people, but I feel like as a couple they love to like just sweep everything under the rug and like put on this persona like everything is perfect and everything is awesome and they don't have any issues and it's just weird to me because it's like you're on a TV show where they're filming everything. So
I agree. That's the best drink you've ever made me.
Yeah, it's fire.
insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. But I do think that, I'm excited for them to move on and do life together. It's funny when we see these cities like Atlanta, Charlotte, and all these people have their own homes and they moving and shaking. I really, really love that. And I also love a good come up, because she got to come up high key. You could move into somebody's house who already got a home. And
Ryan is a good match.
Right. He's a good man.
He's a good man. Yeah. So it's like she would have been dumb. She would have been dumb to say no.
Let's be clear.
She would have been dumb to say no. But the way that she complained about him not doing this and not falling in love with her in 8 weeks.
Yeah, like
she sounded like she was ready to bounce.
And she was not going to do it because you know why? Because if ain't nobody about the money, white women are.
and not only
they ain't hold nobody there.
But not only that, the older you get, I think the more you realize like what really matters. So you kind of, she could have sat there every week in confessional and bitched him on about him not doing this and not doing that and all this other stuff. But if she been out there and she been in the world, she been dating around and all this other stuff.
She know it ain't nothing.
She know Ryan is above the fray as far as just,
and he is,
the crop of men that exist and women. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's for sure. I agree with that. So the next person to come on through was Haley and Jacob, which I was surprised about the order of these decisions.
I wasn't surprised about the order. I was just surprised that they brought Chris and Paige back.
Well, let's get into Haley and Jacob first. Basically, Haley and Jacob, what they did was sit in front of their parents and snitch on each other. They said everything that you ever did was wrong to me, and then was like, "You see what I mean? Like, look at this." And I don't care what none of y'all say. Haley was not ready for this. I just don't care. I don't think that she was. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Haley was ready for it. She just was she had a piss poor parent just like everybody else. But the thing that I didn't like was that Pastor Kyle, I think it was Pastor Kyle, asked Jacob, if Haley says yes, then what would you say? Like, this is decision day. So just ask them. Y'all, they went through this whole thing of he said, she said, going back throughout the relationship, touching on all the parts and the low lights and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Only for them to get to the time where in everybody else they would say, now it's time to make your decision. Only to get there and then to kind of like do this weird sidestep of like, well, what would you say if, you know what I mean? And I thought it was to kind of draw out more drama and stuff like that. Kind of within it's pretty much in line with what they've been doing throughout the season. Which I just didn't like. Like, don't try to draw out drama or manipulate the situation. Like, ask them their decision so we can move on, because we don't need extra drama. Like, everybody knew Haley and Jacob wasn't going to stay together.
I feel like, though, and this is an argument that I would like to make, I honestly think that Haley and Jacob didn't stay together because they did not have the support that they needed to get past some of their moments. Like, I think that where we're dropping the ball at a lot of times on this show is that, is it me or were the experts more involved in previous seasons? I recognize it's COVID, like, don't get me wrong, but
I think the experts was definitely more involved in previous seasons.
Yeah.
Mainly because I think of COVID, the COVID situation, and they kind of starting at their houses and stuff like that and wanting to limit exposure and stuff like that. So that makes sense to me. But I also felt like they should have been more involved as far as Zoom calls and stuff like that. Like, just do Zoom therapy like everybody else during 2020. So I didn't like that. I didn't like that they kind of just did the sink or swim thing. But I think Haley and Jacob were never going to work. It doesn't matter how much counseling, how much they were a bad match. Yeah. They were a horrible match. They were never going to work. So it didn't matter what this was a season of bad matches. Yeah. So it was not enough counseling in the world.
Like, oh well, sometimes two good people just aren't a good match, and it's like, no, y'all didn't do your fucking
face.
job.
Yeah, and they've been doing that all season on social media, on the show. They just been doing that all season, and I'm over it.
You couldn't have thought. I mean, I wonder. You know what it is for me though, y'all. Excuse me. I know that they do, like, in the beginning, like, the matching special and everything like that. Like, where they take you through, like, the interviews with people like American Idol shit.
Yeah.
But I really want to know how you actually matched these 10, these however many couples.
Yeah, I do
because
too.
I think that that's like important for like I was invested before because I felt like you could see them like asking certain people. Like I don't know. I feel like this time around it just was like production. Yeah. And the therapists were the talent. And they just were like, all right, we'll just show up to work after y'all made all these choices. These are the people that we're going to choose because they're going to look good on TV. And
this is going to be the drama, and this is going to be that. Like, it felt like they put together a housewife cast. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like a Love and Basketball cast where they just picking to fill certain personalities. Right. You know what I mean? And I didn't like that.
Because I would argue, if you put Haley on a date with somebody, and this is something that you said back in when, his age, he would have been just fine.
Yeah. And I think the same for Eric, for Haley, for Jacob.
Eric could have been matched with a teddy bear. He'd have found Eric could have been matched with this microphone. He'd have found a way to make love to it, beg it to be with him, and make a baby with it. He would have found.
But especially he would have had a much more of a legitimate situation. Eric, to your point, Eric is going to hang on to Virginia because she has a pulse. But I think if Eric was matched with somebody that was more in his lane, that Eric really doesn't want to be in this relationship with Virginia.
You're not going to get me to believe he does.
He doesn't. But
he going to beg.
He wants somebody. He wants somebody.
He beg, honey.
You know what I'm saying? And so he's going to hold on to the person that got dropped in his lap. But if he got paired with somebody that was more his speed, more his age range, more in his lane, more on his level as maturity and all this other stuff, he probably would have a flourishing relationship. This thing with Virginia is fitting, and we're going to get to that. This thing with Virginia is going to end very soon. But I think it was the matchmaking process. We definitely need more transparency into it after this season.
Yeah, sure. After this season. And you should have been tweeting. I don't tweet.
I was tweeting.
Oh, okay. You were tweeting. You look so good.
Airing some people
You were tweeting. But, like, that's so true. Because I do think that, maybe I need to start tweeting, y'all. I don't tweet. But I would be telling them, like, no, this is not okay. Like, y'all just out here ruining people's lives and then want to have another season.
Yeah.
Like that ain't.
And then blaming it on the people. Like, come on.
No, like I do believe that. Like it might look like, oh, these people might be great together, and then they get together and it don't work. But this shit was dumpster fires. Like it wasn't like.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I don't like you, you don't like me. It was like this shit was.
But for the most part. It was dumpster fires from the beginning. Like if we rewind back to
that's what I'm saying.
Week 1, a lot of us were saying the same things about these couples. This was a telegraphed dumpster fire. A lot of us knew this person is not going to work with this person, that person, and this is from Dave. This is before the honeymoon. I felt like Eric Virginia not going to work. Jacob and Haley not going to work. Yeah. This is just from way early on.
Yeah. And nobody should be able, I feel like, to have those visceral kind of feelings in the beginning of the show because that's how you get uninvested. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, Haley and Jacob decided to get a divorce. And I think rightfully so. And I'm glad when Dr. Pastor Cal asked Jacob that, he just was like, I feel like we gave it the time that was necessary. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? And I'm with him on that.
Yeah,
like,
they spent, even in this scene, they spent too much time on this. Like,
what you mean?
Like this relationship is over. He's gonna say no. She's gonna say no.
Let's move on. Yeah, this season was just not giving, y'all. So Chris and Paige, which unfortunately was probably the most drama we got.
It was, and it was also the most unnecessary drama in the history of Married at First Sight. Like this was another thing that was very much production forward. Like, you brought him and her in. Why? They had been off the show for the past 2 or 3 weeks. They hadn't been filming. They hadn't been doing anything individual as far as filming or doing confessionals or anything like that. He had moved on. She had moved on. Y'all bring him back on the show only to chastise him for the same fuck shit that he been doing for the past couple weeks that he was actually filming.
But y'all, he got in front of them experts. And was like, I just feel like she was the best thing.
But we knew he was going to do that. Why bring him back on? He did that the last time he was there.
Because he's a master manipulator.
But my question is, why bring him back on? And then my issue is, that's what I'm saying. Because my issue is, Chris didn't do anything that he hadn't been doing. He came back and so for Dr. Viviana to be so, she
was over it, child. She was like. She was over it.
You're so through with this individual and his antics, but none of his antics are new. Nothing that he said or did was the gaslighting, the drama, the getting up and walking out, and making the whole segment about him, canceling. I'm sure they had to do 2 days.
They did 6 hours
their one thing probably took more than that. You know what I'm saying? During all the drama and everything like that. Y'all brought him back and brought her back. And then Dr. Pepper. Well, why do you keep coming back? Why do you keep inviting her back? Dr. Pepper said, why do you keep why keep coming back? Why keep going back to him talking to Paige? Why keep asking Paige to come back and film? Why keep doing it? Because we also know that she's highly susceptible to this manipulation. Because every time he smile at her or say something, she like, look, y'all, he into me.
Is we or is we ain't gonna talk about
Paige? She thinking about it.
Is we or is we ain't gonna talk about Paige wig? Is we gonna do it?
I already talked about it. And
Paige, my love. She was out there looking like Blade. Why was her sideburns all the way down to her mother jumping chin? You out here looking like Mr. T. Now, who did that lace? You're in Atlanta.
I said, listen.
You're in Atlanta. The moment, and this is, and I'm not going to shame her for not being aesthetically astute. But I am. Because I also feel like the moment he showed up with the joint, and the joint was looking like $15,000 million, that would have, not for him, for me, that would have shifted how I, like, all right, what am I really looking like? You know what I mean? Like, you start doing things that change your style, that inspire you to do what, like sis.
I talked about this in week 1, and everybody thought I was crazy.
But it was sweating.
I said Chris. I said this was a Chris and Paige thing before the drama even started. I saw Paige and I said Chris and Paige is not gonna work. And I said that from the jump. This before we knew Chris was a F-boy.
You said that.
I said all that. But I was a colorist. I was this, that, and that.
You know what it was, y'all, for me? I knew they wasn't going to work when she showed up at the dog park with her wig on like it was a hat. The dog was just sitting there. It was like lifted. But it just breaks my heart. It just breaks my heart.
But this was another thing that production has to own. The experts have to own. Y'all put this together, and this was, again, a pairing of 2 people who wasn't, like, y'all knew. Y'all asked these people their types, and y'all asked them what they into and da-da-da-da.
But Pastor Cal said that she ain't too far off. That's what he said.
That's a lie.
That's what he
You're
said.
lying. Pastor, I'm going to say that is a lie. That is a one. Because I didn't know Chris from a can of paint. I just saw how Chris carried him. As much as a fuckboy Chris was, even down to the last day, when he showed up on decision day, the motherfucker was sharp. Period. You know what I'm saying? Whether you like him or not, whether you think he's cute, and just from seeing that, how he carried himself, how he dressed and stuff like that, I'm like, he not gonna. She not even put together. But that was week 1. That was a whole thing, and then all this other stuff happened. But again, my issue is putting them together, dragging them through this thing again, dragging Paige through here again, and
that's gotta be emotionally draining.
It's like, why y'all did this, and then you projected all the blame on everybody else.
Yeah.
On Chris, on not knowing this, and you didn't know about his fiance, and they just placed blame on. It was everybody else's fault, which is BS to me.
I just felt like, the whole scene is really fascinating because you're watching him say all these nice things, and you realize that's all it took for her to be like, oh, well, I don't know if I want to get a divorce. Like, bitch, what you mean? He done dogged you out.
Low self-esteem.
I mean,
Which is why y'all shouldn't have invited them back on here.
And that's why, and this is my thing about Paige. I know I talk about her wigs and stuff like that, but that's real superficial. I genuinely worry about her. Because the idea that you could sit in front of somebody and so quickly, so briefly.
All they got to do is smile at you.
And you smiling and you like, oh, well, you at the bonfire talking about like, yeah, he said I was the greatest thing that he never appreciated.
And they like made her.
And they all like looking around like, what do that? Why you ain't got no sense?
That made her day. And you could see it. And Pastor Cal said it. He said, I can see while he's talking, I can see you lighting up. Like I can see that. That's because
Pastor Kyle used to manipulate bitches too.
Whoa, don't put that on Pastor Jesus. All right, we got to move on.
I ain't ready to move on because we didn't get to the nitty gritty.
What is the nitty gritty?
He literally tells everybody, he drops the bombshell that the young woman had a miscarriage, unfortunately, right? And I have so many thoughts, but I wanna tiptoe on this subject. He says that he gets worked up theatrically. I can't take it. And he gets up.
Not one tear falling. At all.
Not one. And he gets up and he goes outside. And then production tells her, oh, he left. He got in his car and left. Mind you, his car was sitting right there. So then she said, drama from production. What you mean he left?
Then it was cut to commercial and loud.
I'm about to break the fourth wall, y'all.
It was just so produced. This was so produced.
It was so produced.
And this is what I don't want to happen with Married at First Sight. I don't want this to turn into a Real Housewives of Atlanta, Loving Basketball. I don't want this to Loving Hip Hop. That's what I don't want this to turn into
Loving Basketball.
I don't want this to turn into a very produced reality show.
Yeah, it's on its way.
I don't want that to happen because y'all have a good enough product for it to attract attention and do good ratings on merit. Like y'all don't need to be making these fraudulent pairs, these castings where these people and then you denying their backgrounds are surprising us on air. Wow, we didn't know somebody's pregnant. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, we don't need to do this. Y'all don't need to do this. You have a product that's better. You don't need to go that route. We just don't need to do that. The Mona Scott route. We don't need to do this.
I agree 50 million %. We do not need to do this. We got to do a lot better about weeding out the narcissist and
a silly drama.
But
there's enough drama in perfectly fine relationships. Like
literally.
Listen, nobody here got a side baby mom, popped up pregnant. We got enough drama for lifetime.
And we will find a reason to fight. Find it.
And it's nothing extra salacious.
No.
It's just regular smegular like relationship. Every relationship has their ups and downs and has their drama. You know what I mean?
For sure. But I do think that, it was master manipulation for him to walk out like that. But let me tell you the most manipulative part. And y'all know I watched this twice before we sit down and do this. And this time I didn't take notes. Why? Because it wasn't a motherfucking thing to give. But I wanted to say that when Chris and Paige are walking back in, he was like, you cold? And she like, it's just a lot going on. I don't know. And he was like, are you cold though? And she was like, yeah, I'm cold. He take off his jacket and put the jacket on her. And I said, that was sheer optics. He knew that they were walking back in where they were going to be filmed. And he wanted it to look like, oh, I care about her so much. I care that she cold. She supports me during this time. Like, boy, he can't possibly think that we not onto him. But you know what else I think? And you know who I be blaming for shit like this? People mamas. I be blaming people for mamas, especially boys, because y'all create these monsters. Like, how did he become this insane manipulator? He's manipulative. It's literally teetering on narcissism. It's the creepiest shit I've ever seen. And it's like, and he's on a, it's creepy. It's like literally creepy. And I really wonder what kind of kid he was. Like, I'm curious about that because the way that he showed up here and did a 180 from the last time that she saw him. Like, think about the last time we saw him, y'all. Him and Paige was getting into an argument. He stormed off and was done. He told Pastor Kyle, I want a divorce. I'm done with this. That was the last time we saw him. So what? I'm trying to understand who this human being is sitting in front of us. So when Dr. Viviana was upset, I understood every bit of that. But let me say this though, babe.
Yo,
what I think
I can't with the fake outrage.
But hear me this. What I think is that what's very real is that, again, the experts are the talent. I do not believe that they pick these couples. I believe that somebody else picks the couples and tells them that, because she was visibly upset. Like, she couldn't even believe they was dealing with this shit. And I thought that was a genuine response. When they cut to her and she was like this, I was like, she's fed up. She's a therapist. I've never sat in front of my therapist and him being fed up with what I'm saying to the point where he's visibly annoyed. You know what I mean?
I'm visibly annoyed with Dr. Viviana and the rest of the experts.
Well, okay. Well, that's that on that. But Paige decides to choose herself. Oh, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, she really, really was going back and forth about that, though. Like, you was really going to stay with it. Then he say, well, we undecided.
Okay, so here's the thing. Let's get to this part because I'm over this whole thing. My last thing on this whole situation was the undecided thing. Like, Pastor Kyle made a good point when he said, by not giving a decision today, you are technically staying married, which is a decision.
Right.
And we, for some reason, everybody blew past that. And it was like, we could have just ended this right here. Like, okay, so you don't want to say definitively that you are moving on from him and moving on from this relationship and that you're getting a divorce.
Cool.
With that, you're staying married, because that's the only way for you to not stay married is to get a divorce. You came here married, you're going to leave married. So, effectively, your decision is to stay married.
But Chris understood that. Chris 1,000% understood that. But then Paige started shaking her head like, no, like, we're not staying married. Which I'm like, girl, please.
Paige really was in a rock and a hard place in her mind where she was like, oh my God, he might be coming back to me. What do I do? And she didn't want to make this decision in a flash minute. That's all it was. Paige was really confused. You didn't feel like he was manipulating her by saying like, we're undecided? Yeah. Well, that was obvious. Okay. I'm saying Paige was genuinely confused. Like, yes, Paige genuinely. That's why I don't agree with their decision to bring Paige back, because it was very clear throughout watching all of these episodes that she is very easily manipulated and can be cast under the spell of anybody who looks half decent. And so why bring her back on when you knew that he was going to do something like this and you knew it would rock her world? And she needed to do some work, like some, work, some shadow work, some wig work, some therapy work, some fashion work. She just needed to do work. Yeah. Because the thing about, there's a lane for people who genuinely want something and decide that this is the decision that I'm making, to be specific about what I want. And then there's desperation. And she's desperate. And that's why she stayed with this situation for so long. Because ain't no way he could have cried. I wouldn't even have gotten up. I've been sitting here like, because it wasn't new. It wasn't. God bless. Godspeed. I would have said Godspeed. I don't know what else you want. So the next people to come on through is the shit show themselves. Eric and Virginia. So Eric come through, and what I like about Eric, and this is why I think Virginia wasn't ready for this, but Eric was. Eric was very honest. I feel like
She doesn't want the same things that I want necessarily sometimes. I feel like she has a lot of growing to do, and we have a lot of growing to do together to get us to a certain space. He said, I feel like we have a level of love that will expand, but right now, we're meeting each other at a certain space. He was really like on it to me, and Virginia was drunk, but
as she always
she was drunk. But I did think it was really I really argue that they should do this process without substances. Like, I know it might be hard, but I think that if anybody signs up for this, has to also sign up for like a 2-week alcohol cleanse, because sometimes drinking can make you make decisions you wouldn't in a sound mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but they are, in this situation. This is a thing where they're doing life together.
Yeah.
So for me,
technically,
it's just a situation of Virginia is a party girl and a low key alcoholic. This is not a reflection on the rest of the cast or the process or anybody else. To me, they don't need to change how they need to not pair somebody who bar hop every weekend with somebody who is actually looking to be married and wants a real wife.
Also, so basically they stay together. Win. One of the things I don't... he gets on one knee and proposes to her with what? What was that? A rubber band? Like, what was that? My thing is this.
Yeah, that was weird. It was so desperate, though.
It was super desperate.
It was so desperate.
And it felt manipulative.
I was thinking the same thing. It did. It did. And I feel like Virginia and Eric and Paige and Chris have a lot more in common than not. With the dynamics of their relationship, the manipulation that goes on, the desperateness of Paige, the desperateness of Eric, they are a lot more alike than they are different to me.
Yeah.
And I feel like this was very similar vibes with the whole thing, I knew he was going to do that before it happened. I said to her, he's going to propose to her again. Because he's going to pull out he's going to do all of this stuff to try to get her on his side. You know what I mean? And that's not what proposing to a woman is. It's not trying to convince them that you should get married. Like, you know what I mean? It's not trying to change their mind or sway them. You know what I mean? That's not what it's supposed to be. Like, it's not a debate type thing where it's like we should do this. Wink, wink. You know what I mean? Like, that's what
selling me on.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. You know what I mean? And it was just weird and creepy.
Yeah, it was weird and creepy. And he asked her dad, which was weird and. I mean, I don't know. I think that if he even knew Virginia, he would know that she don't give a fuck about none of that.
Yeah, well,
does that make sense? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Virginia want to be for the streets. Honestly, Virginia want a polyamorous relationship. I don't care what nobody say. Him, her, and the streets. That's what Virginia wants.
Yeah. That's her vibe.
Okay, that's all she wants.
That's her vibe.
So I really do. Virginia looked scared to death.
She did. She looked terrified.
Scared to death.
Which is why I'm looking forward to seeing more about, reunion and post stuff than I am, because this was more of a farce, more of, we on TV and more the same of everybody just lying and going along to get along.
I agree 1,000%. So we end it, right? We end this episode. This is our shortest one. You want to know why? Because they ain't have shit to give. They ended this episode with
Champagne Vinny
and Brianna, which this was my favorite. This one felt like an actual decision day. You know what I mean?
Yes, I agree.
It gave me all the feels. Like I was scared and I was nervous and I was happy.
Because you really didn't know.
Sad.
Down to Vinny. I knew what Brianna was gonna say, but down to them getting to Vinny and him being the last person of the whole decision day thing. I really felt like I wasn't sure what Vinny was gonna say. Like Vinny could have went either way.
But that's because Vinny has a real poker face.
And I also think Vinny definitely went through some real turmoil in trying to decide whether this was a situation for him. And I think Vinny himself didn't know what he was going to say up until decision day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Vinny had a real conflict, a real inner conflict between like, this woman is great. You know, she checks off a lot of boxes, but she also does a lot of things that I was never really into, that I feel like rubbed me the wrong way. I feel like she belittles me. I feel like she's too bossy. I feel like she doesn't listen. All of this stuff. But so I think Vinny really had like a real like, what am I going to do type thing. And that's why this was the only one that was really like intriguing to me, because I was like, what's Vinny going to say?
Yeah, and I felt but it felt good to watch. Mm-hmm. Because you genuinely felt like there were two people who recognized that they both had flaws. Yeah. And we may not be 1,000% all the time, but I'm choosing to continue this because I like when she said, I you know, it's who I am to say what I mean in a certain way, which I think is bullshit, but you know, that's me. But I thought it was nice. I thought it was really nice how she said, but I really do like who I'm becoming because I'm with you. Mm-hmm. I thought that was nice. I thought that was like, that's what it's about. But I do think that I don't like that the experts didn't push back. Like, you do have to be conscious of how you speak. First of all,
her saying, well, I'm not going to change who I am.
I don't like that.
Like, no, that...
Because the first thing anybody, a professional will tell you is that you're going to change, whether you like it or not. Yeah. Like, things happen, shit changes in your life, and it causes you to make a shift in your disposition. And I think that when you get with a man sometimes, and I deal with this, me and Joe just had a big fight about this, about how I say things, and I thought I was saying something in a way that was matter-of-factly, and Joe didn't receive it there. And by matter-of-factly, I mean not disrespectful, but very clear about how I feel about the situation. And Joe didn't feel that way. And I think that most of the time, I don't meet him like that. And I think that she needs to be more conscious of how she speaks to her spouse. It's really okay. Do I think that you should do baby talk with a baby? No. But do I think you should do baby talk with a man? Yes. I do. I
do. But the thing is, you are going to constantly be trying to find a place of compromise.
Yes.
So to go in with this idea of, well, I'm just not going to change certain, you know, I just am who I am. That's not, you are bound to drizzle.
Please stop saying that. One time.
No, stop. So I think that, you know, I didn't like that she said that, because it's just it is a series of compromise and a series of bending to accommodate and to keep your spouse happy and to keep the space happy and to live to fight another day. So like, if your idea is just, I just am who I am, you're not going nowhere pretty soon. And so I think that's something that Benny had to wrestle with too. Like, cause that's not the first time she said something like that. And all he's like is, I want you to speak to me like you respect me. That's it. So this idea that I am who I am, you know what I mean? Like, your man is asking you to speak to him like you respect him as a man. And that's it. And so this, like, I think that
But respect him as an adult. The thing about it is, you get more bees with honey, and that's with anybody. People do not respond to that. I do not want to negotiate with terrorists. It's like, you literally, for real, like, you really want to meet with somebody and they speak to you a certain way, and it's like, oh baby, oh honey, especially when it's your person, you should be a little bit more like, you can say what you need to say.
Also, you can't bring the energy that you take into the rest of the world to home, because if that's your man and that's your husband, you shouldn't treat him like you treat everybody else. So this idea that this is just who I am, I talk like this in the workplace, I do this, da 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 da, like, that's not how, that's your husband. So you make concessions for that person.
Yeah.
With that person, I do a lot of things very differently than I do here, strictly for Intizar. That's it. Because I might not make these type of concessions in the world or for anybody else walking this earth. But for her, I'm gonna do that because this is my person. So that's my issue with her, and I feel like she doesn't understand that. Yeah. She takes this thing of this is just who I am. This is how I treat everybody, and you shouldn't treat your spouse how you treat everybody.
And I think it's a fear. I think it comes from a fear of losing yourself in a situation, which people love to say, which I don't really know what the fuck they. I mean, I think that you could. I think that. First of all, statistics say that women lose themselves whether we want to or not. And that's just the truth. It's a part of our maternal nature. And I think that whether she want to have babies or not, it is something that we do. And I recognize that she wants some sense of autonomy. But I do just think that she has to be conscious because they can win. I'm saying this. I'm going in so hard, honestly, because I see that they can win. They look beautiful together. When they are talking to each other, you can see the chemistry.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? You can see it. You can see that he like her, she like him. He woke up in the morning and said, it felt kind of weird, like not sleeping next to my wife. Like I enjoy laying next to her and waking up with her. Like you can feel it. And I'm going in because some of these motherfuckers can't be saved. Like let's be clear, right? And for them, I don't give a fuck. But for these two, I feel like, sis, it's going to be some concessions you got to make. Me and my girlfriends had these conversations all the time. And they be like, well, bitch, sometimes you got to shut the fuck up and keep moving. Is you leaving? Is you leaving? Just shut the fuck up and move on. Because sometimes being right and being happy are two very different things.
Yeah.
They're two very different things. So they end the episode with this awkward ass bonfire.
Which production? This is more my issue with production. Why didn't we need to? First of all, if y'all wanted to do this, which this is something that they've done in the past seasons, which I get. But if y'all are going to do this, do it with the couples that decided to stay together and let these other people be free. Like, let them go home, do whatever they're going to do, go back to their side chicks and their side dudes and all this other stuff. Because Jacob is clearly going to come with this energy that he don't want to be there and he just there so he don't get fined. And so he came doing the same thing, sat in the corner like he was in timeout. And then you had Haley, which is she gonna come and be her same bubbly self and just be unmoved by it. And then but they're gonna have this same. Is she bubbly when she not with Jacob? She look like a different person.
You know what that was though? That was shade. That was being fucking shady. You know, everybody know how it is when you in a room with your ex and he over there and you in the room and you be like, ha ha ha! Everything's so much more fun.
Haley, as far as the show goes, whenever Haley was not with Jacob, she looked like that. Which is when she was just with the girls, when she was out. But this is beside the point. Right. This is beside the point. The point is that y'all knew that y'all didn't need to bring them together. Like Jacob and Haley didn't need to come back. Or just invite Haley. Jacob clearly doesn't want to be there. Haley probably would have came anyway. If they just made it optional, Haley probably would have came. Then you had Paige come. Paige looked like she didn't sleep all night. She woke up in the same way from the night before. She looked miserable. She looked absolutely miserable.
She looked like she
cried all night.
And then you had
Chris come, which made everybody is giving Chris the side eye. And it's like, y'all, this could have just been a happy moment, a happy ending. Like this was very Love and Hip Hop to me. Like somebody was about to throw a drink. And I'm just like, we don't need this.
Yeah, Jacob looked miserable too.
He was miserable.
He was just sitting
there. Let him go.
That's really what he thought. He was really there so he don't get fined.
He was. They all was. They all were there. Everybody was there. Because even if I'm on a show and we stayed together, I don't want to be around this miserable ass energy. Let's go, like, no.
I just think that, I agree. It's definitely motherfucking production, but it just was mad whack. Like it was whack because it's not fun to watch. Because I am of the belief that Haley and Jacob could have left this and maybe not been friends, but could have been amicable. Like, okay, hey, like I still would have been like, hey, like, you know what I mean? Like, we ain't together, but we ain't gotta be like, we grown.
But they just didn't need to be there, like, you know what I mean? Because it was also very fresh. The thing just happened the day before.
Also that, so people still got feelings about it.
Yeah,
people still got feelings about it. But Chris showed up with a box. We don't know what the fuck was in the box.
No, what was that about? The box. I mean, they never addressed the box. Or did we miss something?
I don't know. Right, or did we? I don't think we missed anything.
If we missed something, let us know. But I don't remember seeing what was in the box, seeing what the issue was with the box, why he brought the box. But then it seemed like when they left, the box was empty. So, I don't know. This is completely irrelevant anyway.
This episode was really, really meh.
Yeah.
I mean, of all the episodes this season, this one was meh. Let us know if there's something else we should be watching, guys. We're back on Ready to Love. They got a new episode coming on tomorrow.
They just went on a random hiatus for no reason.
You know, black people shows.
Just say
it's okay. It's okay. We love Ready to Love. We're going to get into Ready to Love some more. But we also want some more. Me and Joe love watching TV together. It's like our bonding time because we both work a lot. So if you guys have anything that you want us to watch that we should be watching, let us know because we're down. You know what I mean? We doing this. We want to do some reviews with y'all. And bust down. Subscribe to this channel. We get out of here. My man got something to do. And we'll see you beautiful mother jumpers later. Bye. Peace.